381. The bird that mimics machines. Lyrebird. It sings chainsaws, cameras, car alarms, and other birds too. Not just mimicry, mastery. It doesn't just echo, it curates sound. 382. The island that breathes. Tidal marshes. At high tide they vanish. At low tide they breathe. Salt marshes inhale water, exhale life. Nutrients churn, fish spawn, land and sea in conversation. 383. The star that moves too fast. Hypervelocity stars. Thrown by black holes, these stars race through galaxies, too fast to stay bound. Fugitives of gravity, speed without return. 384. The fish that carries a lantern. Anglerfish. In the abyss, there is no sun, so the anglerfish makes its own. A glowing lure, bacteria lighted, prey follows it, darkness hides the trap. 385. The tree that survives fire. Baobab. Its trunk holds water, its bark resists flame. Hollow, massive, it burns and keeps growing. Not invincible, but unwilling to vanish. 371. The plant that grows without light. Ghost pipe. It looks like fungus, pale, leafless, but it's a plant, one that doesn't need sunlight. It steals from fungi, which steal from trees. A quiet parasite, a pale whisper in the forest shade. 372. The wind that shapes ice. Sastrugi. On frozen plains, the wind carves snow into waves, hard ridges, sharp ripples. Sastrugi. The sculpture of motion, written by air. 373. The organism that's a forest. Pando. In Utah, a forest of aspens shares one root, one organism. Each tree above is a shoot, each leaf a breath of the same body. Oldest living creature by some counts. One tree, pretending to be many. 374. The crystal that predicts rain. Storm glass. Sealed glass, chemicals suspended, and yet they shift with weather. Crystals bloom before storms, dissolve before sun. Not magic, but sensitivity. The storm speaks in chemistry. 375. The shark that glows. Lantern shark bioluminescence. In the deep, light becomes language. The lantern shark glows on its belly, hiding its shadow from predators. Light used to disappear, a vanishing act in open black. 376. The clay that remembers touch. Thixotropy. Some clays are solid until stirred, then they flow. Stop touching and they stiffen again. Memory of motion, written in mud. 377. The ice that hums. Singing ice sheets. When Antarctic winds blow over buried crevasses, the ice vibrates. Ultrasound. The continent hums. Not a sound we hear, but the planet listens. 378. The star that shivers. Starquakes. Like Earth, stars can quake. Their surfaces ripple, their brightness wavers. A cosmic tremor, telling us what the inside is made of. Stars shiver, and we learn. 379. The gas that freezes fire. Halon. Halon gas smothers flame, stops combustion without water. Used to protect artifacts, data. A breath that silences heat. 380. The spider that builds a bubble. Diving bell spider. It lives underwater but breathes air. It weaves a web and traps air inside it. A dome, a lung, a spider with gills made of silk. Architecture of survival. 351. The whale that carries the sea. Ecosystem engineers. When whales dive deep, they stir nutrients. When they rise and breathe, they fertilize. Their bodies cycle iron, nitrogen, carbon. One whale can feed phytoplankton, and phytoplankton feed the world. Ocean life built on breath. 352. The pebble that starts the avalanche. Critical mass. It only takes one more, one flake, one sound, one step. Then motion becomes cascade, not because of strength, but because of timing. A quiet edge becomes noise. 353. The lizard that walks on water. Basilisk running. Its feet slap hard and fast. Its body stays light. It runs across ponds upright. A miracle of mechanics. Not magic, just speed, running on tension. 354. The ice that boils. Sublimation. Some solids skip the liquid step. Dry ice turns to gas. A disappearance with no melt. Cold turning directly to breath. Edges do not need to pass through middles. 355. The seed that counts time. Vernalization. Some seeds refuse to grow until they've felt the cold. Winter triggers memory. Spring allows bloom. Not just warmth, but proof of survival. Time measured in chill. 356. The cave that builds life. Chemosynthesis. No sun, no green. Only vents and heat, and bacteria that eat chemicals, turning sulfur into sugar. Whole ecosystems bloom in eternal dark. 357. The echo that locates. Bat sonar. A bat cries out, then listens. The echo maps space. In darkness, they see with sound, each click a compass. 358. The rock that grows. Concretions. Some stones form around shells, bones, seeds. Minerals accrete slowly. Layered like pearls in mud. Stone with a story inside. Geology shaped by memory. 359. The plant that folds when touched. Mimosa pudica. Brush its leaf and it collapses. A silent defense. Electric signals rush through cells, not a brain, but awareness. 340. The shadow that falls backwards. Retrograde motion. Sometimes Mars moves the wrong way. Not truly, but from Earth it appears to reverse. Ancients thought it was divine. Astronomers saw it as math. Perspective creates illusion. Even planets can seem lost. 341. The rain that rises. Evaporation. We think of rain as falling, but first it rises. From oceans, from leaves, from your skin, carried skyward by warmth. Invisible rivers of vapor climbing. Gravity doesn't rule everything. 342. The worm that has no end, immortal flatworm cells. Planarians regenerate endlessly. Split them in two and both grow whole. Even their stem cells seem timeless. Biological reset, not just repair, renewal. A loop of flesh that doesn't end. 343. The fog that paints trees, rime ice. When supercooled fog touches branches, it freezes instantly. Tiny white feathers of ice crawling along twigs. A tree becomes crystal, and the wind a sculptor. 344. The glacier that roars, icequakes. Glaciers are not silent. They creak, crack, roar. Pressure builds, then releases, like a frozen earthquake. A mountain shouts once in a century, and the valley listens. 345. The star that eats its planet, stellar consumption. Sometimes a planet spirals inward, drawn too close. The star engulfs it, vaporizes it, and burns on. We look at some stars and wonder what they've eaten. 346. The sand that sings, singing dunes. In certain deserts, sand hums. Slide down a dune and it drones, a low vibrating tone. Each grain tuned by size, shape, and motion. A landscape with voice. 347. The ant that farms, leafcutter ants. They carry leaves, but not to eat. They feed them to fungus and eat the fungus. Agriculture underground, a colony with compost and cultivation before humans planted a thing. 348. The storm that orbits Jupiter's great red spot. A hurricane twice the size of Earth. In dry seasons, redwoods drink the sky. Their needles pull water straight from fog, not rain, not rivers, mist. Moisture condenses on leaves, drips downward, feeds roots. They make rain from cloud. Some stars don't shine steadily. They pulse, bright, dim, bright again, with rhythm, with pattern, like breath in the vacuum. They help us measure space because their rhythm never lies. A heartbeat we can read across galaxies. Inside the cocoon, a caterpillar dissolves. Its body unknits, not rearranged, rewritten. Cells break down, become something else. And from that soup, wings grow. Change is not always graceful, but it is deep. Mountains don't stand still. They ride plates. Continents drift slowly, centimeters a year, yet over eons. Oceans close, peaks rise. What looks eternal walks. Some lasers twist as they travel. Their photons spiral like miniature tornadoes, light with a corkscrew. These beams can trap particles, shape matter. Not all light moves straight. Some dances. It rolls instead of spins. Its axis is almost horizontal. Seasons last 21 years. Poles face the sun. Like a planet that tipped over, and never got up. And yet, it keeps orbiting, keeps glowing. When iron meets air, it changes. Rust grows outward like lace, a slow exhale of electrons, a metal remembering its past as ore. Decay as conversation, not destruction. Obtaining some rivers remain liquid under freezing temperatures. They flow clear, quiet, beneath a crust of ice, until a pebble starts the process, and suddenly they freeze upward, not from surface, from core. Stillness blooms from within. Sunflowers turn their heads, but not out of wonder. They follow the arc of the sun, east to west, their internal clocks wound by photons. They do not see, but they follow, obedience to light. Sometimes Mars moves the wrong way, not truly, but from Earth it appears to reverse. Ancients thought it was divine. Astronomers saw it as math. Perspective creates illusion. Even planets can seem lost. 266. The blood that flows blue. Hemocyanin. In some animals, octopuses, spiders, blood is not red. It is blue. Because copper, not iron, carries oxygen. Different chemistry, same purpose. Life writes its laws in color. 267. The river that paints the desert. Alluvial fans. When floodwaters exit mountains, they spread, drop their sediment, draw patterns. Fans of minerals on sand. Geological brushstrokes. Art made by gravity. 268. The star that collapses into silence. Black holes. A star too heavy. It dies, but instead of exploding, it folds in, shrinks, becomes dense beyond measure, and then vanishes. No light, no time, just gravity. A silence so deep, it pulls reality with it. 269. The tree that drinks air. Epiphytes. They grow on branches, not rooted in soil. They gather mist, trap dew, sip sunlight. Air becomes drink, sky becomes ground, living without touching earth. 270. The seed that sleeps centuries. Resurrection of life. In Arctic tundra, seeds lie frozen. In deserts, buried under dust. Then warmth, water, a crack, a shoot. Some seeds wait hundreds of years. Patience is a survival strategy. 260. The metal that remembers. Nitinol and shape memory. Bend it, twist it, heat it, and it snaps back into form. Nitinol is not just a metal, it is memory made solid. It doesn't resist change, it absorbs it, then remembers itself. Not stubbornness, resilience. 261. The tree that communicates, the wood wide web. Beneath the forest floor, roots touch. Fungi thread between them, carbon, signals, warnings. One tree falls ill, another sends aid. The forest is not a collection of trees, it is a conversation. Spoken not in words, but in sugars and mycelium. 262. The sound that travels through bone, bone conduction. You don't always need ears to hear. When vibrations hit bone, your skull becomes an echo chamber. Some people hear music through their jaw, voices through their teeth. Even in silence, you are listening. 263. The lake that turns over, thermal inversion. In summer, warm water floats, cold sinks. In fall, temperatures shift and the lake flips. Nutrients rise, oxygen sinks, the water stirs itself awake. Even stillness holds revolutions. 264. The creature that builds with bubbles, caddisfly larvae. Tiny, soft-bodied. But what do? They build. From gravel, from sand, from silk. Underwater homes, wrapped in bubbles. Architecture from instinct. They are artists before they become wings. 265. The light that keeps time. Atomic clocks. Atoms vibrate, lasers catch the rhythm. No pendulums, no gears, only perfect pulse. Atomic clocks lose 1 second every million years. Time itself, listening to particle. 286. The storm that spans centuries. Jupiter's great red spot. On Jupiter, a storm has raged for over 300 years. Twice the size of Earth, winds faster than sound. It's not just weather, it's a permanent scar in cloud. We call it the red spot. But it's more like a whisper from a planet that never rests. 287. The forest that eats itself, decay and nutrient cycling. A tree falls, becomes soil. Another tree rises in its place. Moss grows on rot, beetles feed on bark, and slowly the eater becomes the eaten, then the grown again. Forests are not graveyards, they are circulations. 288. The light that circles itself, photons in fiber loops. Bend a fiber optic cable into a ring, shine light through it, and the photons loop again and again, trapped in endless revolution. They do not tire, they do not drift. Some light chooses orbit over exit. 289. The sound that finds its way, wave diffraction. You round a corner and hear music, though no speaker is in sight. That is diffraction. Sound curling around edges, whispering through gaps. You can hide from sight, but sound follows your outline. 290. The mineral that grows like a tree, stalactite formation. In caves, water drips, minerals harden. Drop by drop, stone grows downward or upward. Stalactites, stalagmites, time as sculpture, calcium as memory. What we call lifeless knows how to grow slowly. 281. The insect that spins glass, leafcutter ants and silica trails. Beneath the soil, leafcutter ants leave trails laced with tiny crystals. Not by design, but by erosion, pressure, and time. Their tunnels glint faintly, microscopic sand polished into something close to glass. Unseen, unmeasured, a network of light built from nothing but chewing. The forest rests on fragile brilliance. 282. The rain that smells, petrichor. After long dryness, the first drop falls, and before it touches you, you smell it. Not water, but oils, spores, memories rising from stone. The scent is called petrichor. It is the earth exhaling. Not every rain nourishes. Some simply reminds you that the world is alive. 283. The ice that burns blue, methane clathrates. Under deep oceans, pressure traps gas in ice, methane locked in crystal cages. stable, cold, until it warms. Then it releases fire, blue flames from frozen tombs, the sea forgetting its silence. Ice doesn't always mean stillness. Sometimes it hides explosions. 284. The flower that follows the sun, heliotropism. Morning, a flower tilts, not just open, but turned, following the sun's arc across the sky, as if it listens to light. By dusk, it has moved completely, not by will, but by longing. Even petals know where warmth lives. 285. The animal that doesn't die, hydra and cellular regeneration. The hydra is tiny, simple, and possibly immortal. It doesn't age, doesn't decay. Its cells renew endlessly. Cut it, it grows back. Wait, it stays the same. Time forgets it. Death has no map to find it. 276. The creature that breathes through its skin, amphibian osmosis. Frogs, salamanders, they breathe not just with lungs but through their skin. Moist, porous, alive with exchange, oxygen in, carbon out. They are part of the air, and the air is part of them. Breathing is not always visible, but it is always intimate. 277. The mountain that grows, tectonic lift. Mount Everest is not static. It rises every year, by millimeters, but it rises. The pressure beneath it still pushes upward, like the world is trying to reach the sky, one breath at a time. We think mountains are unmoving, but even stillness strives. 278. The whale that remembers songs, humpback memory. Humpback whales sing, not just calls, songs, and every year the song changes slightly, and every whale remembers. The new melody builds on the old, culture passed not in words, but in echoes. Their ocean is not silent. It's a choir of memory. 279. The fog that eats sound, acoustic absorption. In dense fog, everything feels closer, and yet quieter. It isn't silence, it's softness. The fog takes the edge off noise, so footsteps don't echo, voices don't carry. Not all silence is absence, some is shelter. 280. The star that wobbles, planetary tug. A planet orbits a star, but it also pulls on it. Just a little, just enough. From millions of miles away its gravity tugs, and the star dances. We find new planets, not by seeing them, but by watching their stars, and waiting for the sway. Even light has a heartbeat. 271. The ocean that makes music, wave resonance in basalt caves. On some shores there are caves that hum, waves enter, echo, bounce, and the stone sings, not in melody, but in rhythm, deep, hollow notes that vibrate in the ribs. You don't hear it with your ears, you feel it, a memory of movement carved into basalt. Not all music is played, some of it is shaped. 272. The eye that sees twice, mantis shrimp vision. Where we see color, the mantis shrimp sees symphonies. It has 16 photoreceptors. We have 3. Ultraviolet, polarized light. To it, that's just vision. A language of light we cannot read. A world of hues we cannot name. You think you know what the ocean looks like. You've never seen it like they do. 273. The plant that feeds on air, tillandsia and vapor life. No roots in soil, no reach into ground. Air plants drink fog, breathe mist. They live on wind and patience. Their beauty is not in their bloom, but in their refusal to cling. To thrive without anchoring, is that weakness or freedom? 274. The glacier that flows, ice as liquid stone. A glacier moves, not like a river, not like a storm, but slowly, constantly. It flows like a sleeping giant thinking, carving mountains, making lakes, inches at a time. We call it ice, but it behaves like thought, invisible at first, and then suddenly everything has changed. 275. The shadow that moves without you, Earth's umbra in space. Lunar eclipses show something strange. A shadow falls on the moon, and it's ours, projected thousands of kilometers into space. A perfect curve, slow and quiet, Earth's signature on the sky. You cast a shadow that reaches the moon, even without standing up. 291. The light that sleeps in sand, glass formation. When lightning strikes a desert, it fuses grains into glass, not with hammers or heat from below, but a single sudden pulse from above. A scar of light becomes a frozen thread. Sand remembers thunder. 292. The tree that waits decades, bamboo bloom. Some bamboos bloom only once, every 60, 80, 100 years, and when they do, they die. But first, they flower all at once, across forests, across continents, a synchronized final breath, a sacrifice in rhythm. 293. The river that disappears, cast sink streams. In limestone country, water does something strange. It flows, then vanishes, pulled underground through hidden channels, carving silence beneath the hills, not lost, just unseen. Some rivers live secret lives. 294. The plant that counts steps, Venus flytrap memory. It doesn't just react, it remembers. Touch it once, nothing. Touch it again within seconds, and it snaps. Not instinct, a built-in timer. 2 taps equals dinner. Even without a brain, it knows when it's time to act. 295. The island that builds itself, coral atoll formation. Corals grow in rings, tiny animals, year after year, until land emerges from sea. An island formed not by eruption, but by patience. Living stone from living mouths. 316. The bird that uses tools. New Caledonian crow. It bends twigs, cuts leaves into hooks, uses sticks to fish out insects. This bird does what we once believed only humans could. Not imitation, innovation. A quiet intelligence in black feathers. 317. The ice that rings. Frozen lake acoustics. Step on thin lake ice. Tap it gently, it sings. A strange high-pitched ping that ripples across the surface like a laser beam. Frozen water turned to sound. 318. The cave that breathes. Barometric breathing. Some caves inhale, others exhale. Not magic, pressure. As outside air changes, the cave adjusts. Wind rushes through, in or out. The earth taking measured breaths. 319. The creature that steals genes. Sea slugs and algal DNA. Some sea slugs eat algae and steal their photosynthetic ability. They keep the genes, use the chloroplasts. They digest light. A stolen future, still functional. 320. The light that splits twice. Quantum superposition. A single photon goes through a slit, or two, or neither, until you observe it and it chooses. Light is not one thing until you look. Observation shapes reality. 321. The forest that hides itself. Canopy shadow. From above, it's green, continuous, but beneath, darkness, silence, a layered world of stillness and decay. The canopy hides everything under it, not to deceive, but to protect. Some ecosystems thrive by staying unseen. 322. The worm that rebuilds its brain. Planarian regeneration. Cut it, it grows back. Cut it again, it still remembers. Even its brain regenerates, and sometimes its memory with it. A body that recalls its own pattern. A mind made from instruction, not permanence. 323. The snow that sings. Avalanche thunder. In cold mountains, when snow collapses, it doesn't just fall, it roars. The air compresses and resonates. You don't just see an avalanche, you feel its song. Mass and motion turned into sound. 324. The spider that engineers air. Diving bell spider. It lives underwater but breathes air. So it builds a bubble, tethers it with silk, refreshes it like a scuba tank. A home beneath water crafted from the sky. 325. 306. The animal that paints without sight. Bowerbird design. It gathers blue, only blue. Bottle caps, feathers, petals, arranged meticulously to impress a mate. An artist. Without language, without reason, but with vision that creates from instinct. Beauty doesn't need explanation. 307. The wind that spins backward. Cyclones of Venus. Venus spins slow, but its atmosphere moves fast and backwards. Hurricane bands race opposite the planet's spin, winds that refuse to follow their world, resistance on a planetary scale. 308. The fish that sees two worlds. Four-eyed anableps. Its eyes are split, half above water, half below. Two horizons at once, two versions of the same place. To live at the boundary is to never blink fully. 309. The dust that seeds rain, aerosols and clouds. Raindrops need a nucleus, something small to gather around. Often, dust, volcanic ash, salt, pollen, particles that drift unseen until the sky wraps them in water. Even storms need a center. 310. The flower that explodes. Himalayan balsam seed dispersal. When touched, its pod bursts, seeds flung meters away. With a pop, a whisper of violence. It does not wait for wind. It launches its future with precision. 311. The ocean that remembers the moon. Tides. The moon doesn't just light the night. It pulls the sea. Every 6 hours, water rises and falls, called by gravity, held by rhythm. Even from 384,000 kilometers away, the moon speaks and the ocean listens. 312. The plant that sees light. Phototropism. Plants don't have eyes, but they know where the sun is. Cells stretch toward light. Leaves bend slowly. Stems curve in longing. Every sunrise a signal. Every leaf a reaching. Vision without sight. 313. The creature that dissolves. Sea butterfly shell melting. Tiny winged mollusks drift through Arctic waters. Their shells are delicate, but ocean acidification is rising. Bit by bit, the shell dissolves. The creature remains, bare, floating, still moving. Not everything breaks at once. 314. The rock that floats, pumice. Formed from lava, pumice traps bubbles, solid stone, but so full of air, it drifts. Mountains that rise from fire and then learn to float, even the heavy can be made light. 315. The rain that builds mountains, erosion feedback. Rain wears rock, but also exposes fresh surface, new minerals, new chemical reactions, which pull carbon from the air, cool the planet, and slow. 296. The sky that turns green, supercell storms. Sometimes, before a tornado, the sky turns green. Not always, but when it does, something massive waits behind the clouds. It's not a color you forget. Nature, tinted with warning. 297. The ocean that glows, dinoflagellate, bioluminescence. Swim through warm water at night, and it glows around you. Tiny organisms, sparked by motion, a stroke of your hand, a trail of light. You move, and the sea responds, stars beneath the surface. 298. The wind that roars in silence, solar wind. There's wind in space, not air, but charged particles streaming from the sun. We can't hear it, but it stirs auroras, pushes satellites, shapes planets, a storm without sound. 299. The insect that builds domes, termite mounds. In harsh savannas, termites build skyscrapers with no eyes, no leaders, but perfect ventilation, humidity control, temperature balance, architecture born of instinct, engineers who never went to school. 300. The animal that glows inside, firefly biochemistry. The glow comes from luciferin, activated by enzymes, a clean, cold light. No heat, no flame, just a signal, passed from one firefly to the next. Here I am. 301. The mirror that warps time, gravitational lensing. A galaxy bends space, and with it, light. Behind it, another galaxy appears, but not where it is, where it was bent. A cosmic illusion, written in gravity, the universe tricking the eye with mass. Mirrors aren't always made of glass. 302. The rain that never falls, virga. From high clouds, droplets form. They fall, then vanish in dry air before reaching the ground. Rain that begins but never arrives. The sky rehearsing sorrow, then swallowing it. 303. The leaf that sweats, transpiration. When heat rises, plants sweat, not with pores, but through their leaves, tiny openings. Water turned to vapor, a forest cooling itself with breath. You walk through shade, and it exhales. 304. The crystal that remembers pressure, quartz piezoelectricity. Squeeze it, and it sparks. Quartz under pressure releases charge. Push, pulse, response. A stone that translates force into energy. Still, silent, sensible, nature wired itself before we ever did. 305. The eye that sees the invisible, infrared vision in snakes. Some snakes